in a unit that we're currently working on, right? It's called In the Classroom, and students are looking at things in the classroom and learning how to communicate, and their final project is creating a poem. So the way that we use the framework, right, we have our Get Ready curriculum, and we also always have our framework on hand, our book, our textbook that has a framework. So we always look at the end project of any assessment, any writing project that we're doing, where do we want the students to be at? So we go over, as a team, me and my collaborating partner, we go over what key language use we see that is being used the most, and we might see a couple. We might see narrate, we might see explain, we might see argue, but we try to focus on the one that's going to be talked about or used the most for the student. Once we know what the key language use is, right, it's really easy to then go into the framework and pick out that language expectation, right? And we pick out the language expectation, then we go ahead, we pick out the features that we are going to focus on or that we see present clearly in the exemplar. And if there is something that is missing that's not in the standard framework and it is in the exemplar, we still teach it, right? It doesn't limit us, the framework. It's still very up to us what we're going to teach. And it's just really a guide for us to be able to understand the language that is being acquired. So once we have the key language use, the expectation, and the features, we then go week by week and figure out, okay, what feature are we going to talk about, or what grammar are we going to focus on that's going to lead them to then be able to create that poem in the end. So we need a plan for our newcomer ELD 1 class, and we are on Unit 3 in the classroom of our Get Ready curriculum. So I brought the standards framework here, and then we have our curriculum book. So should we start by looking at the end of unit writing?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
It's they're writing
What
a
is
poem
it? Okay, so the final.
about their classroom.
Okay. And what does it say what has to be included? Or do you want to read the prompt?
So it says first brainstorm with a classmate. When you write your poem, you can use the outline below. And it just says write a poem about your classroom experience.
Okay. Okay, so then I'll write that down. So it's write a poem. So let's write a poem.
About your classroom experience.
Okay. Perfect. So now I guess that we want to read this?
Yeah.
Maybe let's read it out loud. Let's see what
Title,
it says.
I Am Anita by Anita Ramos. I am Anita Ramos from Honduras. I see desks and chairs and windows and doors. I hear boys and girls and clocks and a TV. I am Anita from Honduras. I am Anita, a student. I have a backpack with school supplies. I need to borrow a tablet. I am Anita, a student. I am Anita in California. I ask, can you help me? You say, of course. I am Anita in California.
Okay. All right. So now I think let's look at the framework and figure out what the key language use is that we're noticing that's being used. Just from you reading it, I think it's narrate, right?
Telling a story.
Right, they're telling a story. So let me look that up here in mine.
On the top it says, it's for the kids, but it says, remember a poem tells about experiences, ideas, or feelings. It is written in separate lines.
Okay.
So,
yeah, so I think the best key language that fits is narrate. And then I think we need to decide if we want to focus on all of it or just one of the features. No, one of the expectations, right? So we have narrate, expressive, because they're going to be writing. Construct language arts narratives that orient audience to context and one or multiple points of view. I think that's it, or?
Not multiple points of view,
right.
it's just them.
It's just them writing.
Develop and describe characters and their relationships over a progression of experiences or events.
I feel like that is the one that fits the most, right? Because then the next is what? The next one says develop a story advancing the plot and themes with complications and resolutions, times, and event sequences.
Yeah.
I think,
maybe
is it this one?
engage and adjust for the audience. Maybe these middle two?
Yeah.
Or do you want to just pick the one then?
Maybe just the one because we want to like really focus in on that one.
Okay. So probably the developed story.
Okay.
Because
Right.
at least from this one, she starts off saying she's from Honduras,
Right.
and then at the end she says she's in California.
Okay. So let me copy that, right? So I'll do ELD, narrate, expressive. Then we're going to do develop a story.
Yep.
Then I'll put that in our scope and sequence. Okay. ELD. All right. So now that we said we're not going to do the orient.
No,
we're going to do
just
develop a
the
story. Okay. Perfect, right?
Yep.
And then so our expectation, this is our standard. So our standard is narrate, expressive. The expectation is construct language arts narratives. That, and then our function is develop a story advancing the plot and themes with complications and resolutions, time, and event sequences.
Yep.
Right? Okay. And then so now we need to figure out what features I guess we see in our final project.
Okay.
So these, we can look at the features. It's over here. Right here. So it says variety of verb tenses, dependent clauses, a variety of short and complex sentences, and then it connects to and develops link sections and statements to provide closure.
Okay, so maybe
Okay.
not all of these either then?
Right. So I think that now we need to look at our,
I think
like
definitely
the actual exemplar, yeah.
variety of verb tenses.
Okay.
Not only because it's in the poem, but because they've also been
learning that,
So
yeah.
even if it wasn't in the poem, we could add it just so they can practice
Okay.
that.
I don't know if they're going to be doing dependent clauses yet, right?
No,
But they will have a variety maybe of
just short.
short sentences,
not
yeah.
complex.
Not complex, but short, it seems like. And then,
Especially if we like explain it to them, saying it's written in separate lines. And we show them the exemplar where it's just short.
yeah, it's like short, simple
Yeah, so
sentences.
just we'll do a variety of short sentences. Okay, so then we'll just focus on the first one and the third one. Okay.
I think that's okay, yeah. And then maybe now let's go into our actual exemplar, and we can go in and highlight that language, the verb phrases and stuff. Okay. So I have a variety of verb tenses to pace a narrative that locate events in time, including dialogue. So I think that's where we would see what, like, have, need, the V verbs, right, that they've been learning.
So they just learned the have and need.
Yeah. Okay. Have, needs.
Am
is another one that we see. Okay. And maybe those, I'm just going to bold all of those in the exemplar so we can clearly see them. Am, desk, door, here. Okay. And then I also see a lot, like, it's only short sentences, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So then, short.
I don't
We'll
think
just
that I don't think we've gone over commas and stuff yet.
Not
so
yet,
I'm-
no.
yeah.
So I don't know if we need. That'll come, I think, later.
Yeah.
Okay. But within the short sentences, right, we have talked about nouns. And then I think we're focusing on
Singular.
singular, right? Yeah.
And then I think we also we've done pronouns.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do.
So we've got Anita, Honduras. They know objects, desks, chairs, doors, windows.
Okay.
Because they've written the story in Unit 2.
In the story that they wrote. Right, so then we have.
This one, where they wrote the informational text about your school.
Yeah, so they have, so we can, I guess, maybe let's underline all the nouns that we see in the exemplar.
So her
So
name,
Anita, Honduras,
California. Boys, girls, clocks, TV,
Yep.
school
Desks. Oh, not bold. Underline. Chairs. Door. Windows, right?
supplies. Yeah. I think it'd also be like helpful if we printed it out and then they did this too.
Yeah, the way that we're like
Because they've done
identifying,
it before with this one,
with the
where they
exemplar.
went in and they had to identify all the verbs, nouns, pronouns, positional phrases.
Yeah.
So if we did it for this one also,
I think it might help,
that would
like,
be, yeah.
it might help them understand how the language is working together. Okay. So now, I guess that we know what our end project is, right? And the features that we're gonna be focusing on, grammar we're gonna focus on. We could go through the curriculum and each section and figure out what activity we wanna do with them to amplify that language. Okay. Connect to language is the first one.
Which looks like it's just going over the objects in a classroom,
Okay.
which
So
would be
it's-
useful.
Yeah, because it's talking about they're being able to identify, right? Like board,
Or
student,
desk, chair,
Okay.
backpack, pencil, notebook, which is
So they're identifying nouns basically.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So it looks like there's a video that they're gonna engage in.
which I think just
I think it's
also
showing,
just goes in with,
right.
like the nouns. And then
so yeah, because it's not isolating the nouns anymore. It's now putting it in a scenario
and then
where
yes, it's
they're
just seeing
being
if
used.
they can identify
Okay.
them within a sentence.
Yeah,
and then
okay. So they're still identifying
It's just a step up.
nouns, but yeah, it's building
Taking it-
on that
Yeah,
scale.
taking it from a picture
Yeah.
to then full sentences being spoken to them and then seeing if they can identify.
And in
what they
context,
have.
right? It seems like it's in context now.
Mhm.
So the language in action, yes, they're still identifying nouns, but in complete sentences and in the context of a conversation
Mhm.
between people. Okay.
And then this one looks like it's the same, except now
They're writing it.
they're
They're
taking away the video, so they're just listening. Which is then
Yeah.
like the next step in that.
Yeah.
And then the last part of it is them just filling in the blanks.
Mm-hmm. So and a little bit of written practice, right? Okay.
So they're going from seeing
Yeah.
to hearing, just hearing, and then them writing.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Connect to reading, they're reading a poem, which is good.
Okay, that's nice. And I think when we do the poem, I think we should do really like explicit think aloud of us asking questions of what type of poem is this? Is it telling a story? Is it telling an experience?
Yep.
We can ask those questions. Who is it about? What is the story? Right?
Under
Okay.
the communicate says the author's message is about new people,
Okay.
places, talk to a classmate. 5 questions. What
Mhm.
new school supplies do you have? What things at school are new for you? What places are different for you? Who do you know? And then the last line of the poem says, I enter with
Yeah.
a smile. Do you enter the classroom with a smile?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we could.
Yeah, we can also take these questions, maybe change them a little bit, especially the last one.
Yeah. I don't
And
like
use
that
it
one.
for the exemplar.
For the exam. Yeah.
So again, they're just doing the same thing, but
So have them identify and have them respond. Kind of like deconstructing what the poem is, right?
Yeah.
Is what we're gonna do. Okay.
which would be helpful for them to do
Yeah.
with the exemplar, because then it'll be easier for them to write it.
Yeah.
And then I think the next one
The
is
next one is grammar. Yeah.
the verb have.
So this is where we're actually gonna introduce more of that, the verb tenses from the framework.
Yeah.
And they already did need, needs, so that's something that they already learned.
Yeah.
But this time we're focusing on have and how do you ask questions
Mhm.
with it, right? Okay.
Which then goes back to the
Mm-hmm.
what they were learning in.
And I think it
next
also-
language.
Yep, because we have to explicitly teach this, like,
Do
do I have, right? When do I use do versus does? And it all depends on the pronoun, right? Or the subject of it, yeah.
And then this one is also nice, where they're completing the questions.
Yep.
They could also, if we have like a statement and then they have to
Yeah.
change it into a question.
Oh, that would be nice, yeah. Like if we could just say, yeah, we could be like,
John has a backpack. They could change it to a question.
Mhm.
Does John have a
Mhm.
backpack? And it'll help them practice using do and does.
Yes.
Um,
Love it.
We can also add in lead, just so they can.
I think so
get
too, just so they
practice
can keep
from-
practicing it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's going to come up again.
And then this is
And
the
then this is the
plural
plural.
nouns,
Okay.
which should be easier because
Mm-hmm.
they know singular already.
So after that practice, we could talk about more plural nouns, right? And
Mhm.
these are the more
These are like the
difficult
complex
ones,
ones,
right?
yeah.
So it's if your noun ends in an S, now you have to add ES to the end.
Mhm.
If your noun ends in a Y, you're going to add IES, take the
And then
Y off.
sometimes words just.
And then sometimes words just completely change.
Yeah.
Before we get to the planning and drafting, we need to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
So we could do, let's read it. We can ask those same questions that we did. Who is it about? What is it about? Maybe who's in the story or what kind of,
Yeah. Like
just
it's
to
like-
understand it,
We'll
right?
do the same thing with this one
Mhm.
too. In this one, there's at least a picture, which we can also
Yes.
ask them about.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really ask that about that one.
I guess, yeah, we can add a picture.
But yeah, so we'll ask like, what's the title? What's it about?
Who is it about?
Who is it about?
Yeah.
And then we can ask them to underline the nouns.
Yes,
circle
underline
the-
nouns.
Or underline singular nouns.
Yeah, maybe we just, yeah, underline singular nouns,
Circle plural.
circle plural nouns.
Highlight the verbs.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Perfect. Collaborating for us is a huge part of planning. And not only do we collaborate as a PLC, or I collaborate with my other colleague who also teaches ELD1, but we also collaborate as an ELD newcomer house. We have house meetings every 2 weeks where we have the opportunity to talk about specific students, specific things that we're working in class. And that is a great opportunity for us to be like, hey, like what key language use might you be focusing on this week or this quarter, or what expectation, what feature, what grammar are you working on, and how can we make sure that we're doing that across, like our ELD literacy class, our dedicated ELD class, our ELD US history class, our civics classes. So there is a lot of collaboration happening. So at least these students are exposed to the language, right, multiple times and in multiple contents, right? They're not just seeing the key language use explain in a literacy class, but they're also seeing it in their math class, in their history class, in their science class. And they notice that it's the same language, but what changes is the content, right? And the way that it's being expressed might be different, but collaboration is for sure one of the top priorities here at our school. And it really just helps us as educators to be able to create lessons that are more rigorous and more inclusive, and they're really based on what students can do and where we want them to be after the lesson.